John Rockefeller, founder of the Standard Oil Company, became one of the world's wealthiest men and a major benefactor. In 1870, he established Standard Oil, which by the early 1880s controlled some 90% of U.S. refineries and pipelines. Critics accuse Rockefeller of engaging in unethical practices such as predatory pricing and colluding with railroads to eliminate his competitors in order to gain a monopoly in the industry. In 1911, the U.S. Supreme Court found Standard Oil in violation of antitrust laws and ordered it to dissolve. During his life, Rockefeller donated more than $500 million to various benefactor causes.
In 1892, the AA had lost a bitter strike at the Carnegie Steel Company in Homestead, Pennsylvania. The Homestead strike, which culminated with a day-long gun battle on July 6 that left 12 dead and dozens wounded. The union attempted to organize workers in the tin industry, but a sudden wave of industry consolidations left the union facing the gigantic U.S. Steel Corporation.
After the Depression of the 1890s, immigration jumped from a low 3.5 million in that decade to a high of 9 million of the new century. After the 1880s, immigrants increasingly came from Eastern and Southern European countries, as well as Canada and Latin America. By the 1910, Eastern and Southern Europeans made up 70% of the immigrants entering the country. After the 1914s, immigration dropped off because of the war, and later because of immigration restrictions imposing in the 1920s.
Ellis Island in Upper New York Bay was the gateway for over 12 million immigrants to the United States as the nation's busiest immigrant inspection station from 1892 until 1954. The island was greatly expanded with land reclamation between 1892 and 1934. The island was made part of the Statue of Liberty National Monument in 1960.
There were many new inventions that bettered people's lives. The telephone was invented, which allowed people to communicate with each other. These inventions increased factory efficiency and productivity by making the work easier. One invention that helped was the spinning jenny, which could spin 5 strings instead of 1. The invention caused advancements in both technology and medicine.
Another overall negative effect of the Industrial Revolution was child labor. They were also given very low pay and worked very bad conditions. The girls would have long hair that could get caught in the machine and possibly kill the child. They worked barefoot for 12 to 14 hours and were given no breaks. Since they were working in a factory all day, they were not able to have a very good education, so they couldn't get out of the cycle of factory working when they got older. Political corruption is the use of power by government officials for illegitimate private gain. An illegal act by an office holder constitutes political corruption only if the act is directly related to their official duties.
Labor unions have existed in one form or another in the United States since the birth of the country. The first 100 years of the U.S. history saw relatively little in the development of labor unions. A few were organized in a scattered fashion, but many of those simply disbanded after they had achieved such goals.
A political machine is a political organization in which an authoritative boss or small group commands the support of a core of supporters and businesses who receive rewards for their efforts.
Urbanization is the process by which communities grow to form cities or urban centers, and by extension, the growth of expansion of those cities.
Ford's Model T, introduced in 1908, was simple, sturdy, and relatively inexpensive, but not inexpensive enough for Ford, who was determined to build motor cars for the great multitude. "When I'm through," he said, "about everybody will have one." In order to lower the price of his cars, Ford figured he would have just to find a way to build them more efficiently.
Urbanization is the promise of jobs and prosperity. Among other factors, pulls people to cities. Half of the global population already lives in cities, and by 2050, 2/3 of the world's population are expected to live in urban areas. But in cities, 2 of the most pressing problems face the world today also come together: poverty and environmental degradation. Poor air and water quality, insufficient water availability, waste disposal problems, and high energy consumption are increasing population density and demands of urban environments. Federal warlords and were literally robber barons. In the 1870s, the term began to be used to describe business tycoons, and the usage persisted through the rest of the 19th century.
As business expanded, natural predatory instincts took over as companies sought out to eliminate competition. It was a survival of the fittest in an economy which did not regulate business. Clearly, the natural conclusions of the laissez-faire capitalism option is the end of the competition itself.
Social Darwinism is the name given to various theories of society which emerged in the United Kingdom, North America, and Western Europe in the 1870s, and which claimed to apply biological concepts of natural selection and survival of the fittest to sociology and politics. It won some significant regional victories. The alliances generally proved politically ineffective on a national scale. While trying to broaden their base to include labor and other groups, the populace remained almost entirely agrarian-oriented.